The grace, the reminiscence. Quote of Mahatma. Samarth Sadguru Parmama Pujya Shri Chandraji Maharaj of Fatehgarh. Benevolently addressed as Shri Lalaji Maharaj and Shri Babuji Maharaj addressed him as Adi Guru. Truth Eternal is the book written by Shri Lalaji Maharaj, Adi Guru. This directive below quote is for the sake of interested readers who are pursuing God realization and self-realization, as well as for the general good of readers. Cleanse your manas, mind, with practice of sadhana and then go through literature. Otherwise, reality will be lost upon you. By Suresh Kumar Makam. On the 7th of March 1995. Along with Appa we came from RT Nagar Justice Vittal Rao's place after the completion of the meditation session to my house at Giringar, No. 405, first floor. My house had 3 bedrooms accommodation with other things. We came in the Ambassador Green, blue official car. CKG 55. Of Justice Dr. Vittal Rao, President of State Consumer Commission. Or Brother Architect Ramu Hegde's car, whose house happens to be in down of the same road as my home. After formal reverence and respects my family offered to Sahib with a small tea. My revered father requested me and him to take rest in my room. It was around 11:30 am. He quietly sat on the floor. I bolted the room from inside. Myself and himself were present. Quite some time was consumed in silence. Suddenly I got a flash of a thought to tell him. At that time I switched over to Kannada language. Allah, Adu, Allah, Adu. Quote. He cut me short there. Vadarbedwo, Vadabeda, Kripe agta aid, Vadarbedwo, Vadabeda, Krup agta aid. Grace is descending. Disturb agatte, agatte, sumne kutko. Quote. Quiet became my mind too. Deep silence absorbed. In a cross-legged posture he was sitting. Slightly bent head was brewed inward. Clasping his both hands. The time approximately 2 to 2.5 hours was absorbed. Other than stillness of my mind I don't know anything at that time. Thereafter the lunch time was called and he had some onion bhajis and something. And he avoided lunch. During that time it was nothing but silence. It appears my mind became silent. No waves of thoughts were arisen. I was simply seeing him. Cross-legged his posture, but slightly bent his head was. Completely lost in himself apparently it appeared to me. It is quite some time the lapse. Perhaps 1 or 2 hours. At the fag end of this time there were changes in his body posture. Gradually he was coming back to this mundane world. And it appeared to me that he is his normal self of this mundane world and on the same plane. He placed me back, so that it enabled me and facilitated me, and gifted me an opportunity to be with him. The clarity of the recall of that event was that small amount of verb indicating unfinished task of throwing light upon, the grace, appeared remained at this kind of remaining was a kind of waiting. In that waiting there was a seeking, request to issue forth and extend the light of knowledge, as well as reveal the revelation of the divine secret about the grace. As always my state is, novice, or unknown, or not knowing anything about this great things. May be named as aspects. Transmission, grace, which are everything and anything in the spirituality and spiritual science. Rather the spirituality and spiritual science is built only with these two. The transmission, the grace, as revealed by him and also of my experience. Well, the thoughts of these two, the body and soul of the spirituality, or entity of the spirituality, the transmission and the grace, are yet to be expressed by him. Somehow seeing my state in which the connected knowledge about them was not present, not knowing about them, as well as that not knowing state become a veil to my entire self and existence. and sure for certain as an individual entity. I did not possess any power, any capacity to know or understand. But if not been given, perhaps that will be end of my spiritual journey in the very subject of spirituality with me. Truly it is a pathetic state. The question of life and death of the spirituality and of my continuation if I cannot be attended with kindness, compassion, and with a magnanimous heart of his caliber only. Oozing out is natural for spring. And he is an eternal spring of spirituality. Kindness is a natural oozing. Coupled with compassion, bewitched with love, it is just turned to this miserable insignificant speck of life. And the oozing is the nectar of spirituality. That nectar of spirituality were poured upon and drowned me, imbibed me, with his revelation. If one takes 1000 transmission sittings from the preceptor, and if the one does 10,000 meditations, and occurrence of transmission present, what it cannot do, one-time descendants of the grace does. After 28 years of this descendants of the grace occurred, taken place. First time to my notice was in his presence at my home to me. Second time on the same day, that is the 7th of March 2023, at my home to Chiranjeevi Manohara was descended and oriented the grace, and it means to me the strength of that one descendants of the grace 28 years ago. By him taken care of the 28 years, anything and everything, and that is the power of the grace. And the beauty of the descendants of the grace is that it had absorbed all the past, all the present, and all the future, and of everything. To mention as a creation, it is a small word for the grace. It is much, much more than the creation. The universes, the universe, and this grace with a standing ovation invites all the scientific spiritual scientists to indulge, to know further of this knowledge. It has opened up itself for the greatest research in the field of spiritual sciences. The grace timing was thereafter of 7 p.m. Tuesday, March month 2023. At my home, Ganganagar, Bangalore, Karnataka State, India, till 9:40 p.m. The true divine secret is that all the prayers of the world, of the people, of the hearts, and of the practices, and of the offerings, and of their endeavors, on the path of Atma Vijnana Shastra, or Atmic sciences, knowingly and unknowingly set and orient and prayed in desperation only for the descendants of K. Grace, and consumed all the transmissions to set the stage, to prepare the field, to create a state, befitting and proper, to descend the grace. For this meaningful purpose, the human birth is got. To strive, millenniums might have lapsed or consumed of the years of the human time and of the universal times, and of the universe's times, and of the creation times, and all this consumption of the time. Purpose was only for the descendants of the grace. Then the descendants of the grace ratified, approved and accepted rightful and meaningful consumption and absorption of the times, and left to the mankind lot was prayer, meditation, remembrance, constant remembrance. Nama Smarana is the lead and the only factor of him. His name. These two leads and probes of research are in the field of Atmic science to do research for the subject of transmission and the grace are. Transmission ho jata hai. Transmission occurs. Kiya nahi jata hai. Quality of the transmission. The pure transmission. As is transmission. As it exists. Orienting and directing capacities of the transmission preparation of the ground to occur. Hey. Transmission. Preparation for the descendants of the grace. By whom? For whom? Why? What? How? Perhaps these are the verbatim of the science of the research with further queries. I treated this event of the descendants of the grace and transmission occurrence during this period of physical veiling of my guardian angel revered brother Guru Maharaj Sri Guru Prasad. son of most respected revered Mahatma Param Pujya Raghavendra Rao Sahib of Raichur, is the last gift of my guardian angel dearest brother Guru Maharaj. To the mankind, to the creation, and beyond, the grace has in its womb everything and anything of the sustenance of the present and issue forth of the future, by consuming the past too. What to say of lineage of most respected revered noble Param Guru Shri Raghavendra Rao Sahib? Only he can. Only he contributed and gave that kind of gift of his progeny of my dearest guardian angel brother Guru Maharaj Guru Prasad. No matter whether this world can understand, no matter to understand this event, and his contribution, the mankind may take or may be in need lakhs of years to come. But still it may not be possible for the mankind to understand his contribution as these contributions cannot be made, cannot be recorded, as a historical physical events with the matter. Respected and revered Sri Guru Prasad Guru Maharaj going to go down or gone down in the unknown. History of spirituality is the greatest silent warrior revolutionary in the field of spirituality. What for he took rather opted to take birth is the prodigal son of Param Guru Raghavendra Rao Sahib. And opted the living of most unassuming always remained in the shroud of not seen, not heard, not visible, in all the great times of Sri Babuji Maharaj, and as a baby child, who played on the chest of Sri Babuji Maharaj, caressed, fondled, beloved baby of Sri Babuji Maharaj, and was christened the name as so, as his name, Guru Prasada. He did not give an opportunity for anybody to notice him as if he is not existent or he is existent. Perhaps it is my observation, though seen by one and all during his lifetime, anyone would have got any thought or inclination to know about him. Strangely, everybody's mind, if they attempted to apply to know, it would have been just set out. And no mind is capable of understanding him, or to know him, or think about him. Such is the insignificant speck of dust, not even truly to say he is not existing. Truly vibrantly he is existing, living in present in the great times of Sri Babuji Maharaj, physically grown in the hands of him, lived in the family of revered one, and interacted with every commoner and devotee of Sri Babuji Maharaj and Appa, and the great transition times of Sri Babuji Maharajas and thereafter the times, and also of the culmination of all the events, great events, which occurred and taken place during the great lineage of Sri Lalaji Maharaj, Sri Babuji Maharaj, and of the revered Raghavendra Rao Sahib, as a living witness, silent witness of an everlasting presence remained forever as an unknown to the mankind lot, to the history portion, to the universe and to the creation. Perhaps simple minds might have thought that he is a simpleton. Further, as a common way they would have thought as a commoner differently. Novice in every aspect and life of human race, mankind. And it is so. Nobody dared to think why he is like that, how he could be like that, not giving a slight trace of his living and purpose. Perhaps, maybe, I presume that revered Rao Sahib may be knowing. When I inquired with him about him while we were walking from Jawahar Nagar home to ashram along with revered Ramchandra Reddy Sahab, and he mentioned about Guru Maharaj Guru Prasad, stating that he took my prior permission and approval to take birth as son in my family, and with a condition that he should not be interfered in the way he lives and should provide whatever is demanded by him. Rao Sahib further said that he has no power or capacity to say or ask him anything in the way other than his free will and choice. And he openly told me, I can't do it. It is up to him. An event passed after the lapse of some years after of his graduation, and when he is still eligible for employment age. He was scouting for a bank job, and there was one Abhyasi, Mr. Mahadevan, at Bangalore. He was a general manager of State Bank of Mysore. I went to his office and pleaded with him to get an appointment as a clerical post to Sri Guru Maharaj Guru Prasad. And from his chamber I called upon to Rao Sahib and requested him to send the copies of marks card and other needed documents for the appointment of the post of the clerk. Immediately Rao Sahib called Guru Maharaj and told, "Hey Guru, Suresh is online. He wanted to talk to you about your employment. Please speak to him." On his natural gait he came slowly and I was waiting. And I requested him the needed documents to be sent to me immediately for the appointment of a clerical post in the bank. He asked me, "What is the post?" Quote, "Bank clerk." He said, "I am not interested. I wanted direct appointment as an officer of the bank. And I am waiting. Puranik Baba has promised me and Jagan Baba also has promised me an officer post. I don't want." Holding Guru Maharaj online, I inquired with Mahadevan sir, "Sir, is it possible to get him the direct appointment as officer?" The Abhyasi brother humbly replied to me, "Sir, it is not within my power. Only clerical post I can." And thereafter I spoken to Guru Maharaj asking him to hand over the phone to Appa. I narrated about all the dialogue and requested Appa to take copies from Sri Guru Maharaj and send it to me. Revered Appa said, "I cannot do that. I cannot direct him at all. If he wants it he only will do it. I don't have any power. I only have to do whatever he asks me to do. And he asks me to provide whatever I have to provide. That is the condition with which he took birth in my family. As he was the great saint of the past, and has been worshipped all over the world for 100 years. And he has left an ineligible mark upon India. Innumerable saints have been born through his guidance and getting ready also. He has changed the face of spiritualism in India and for the world. As the past master, no single thought ever crossed me from that time. Rather first time I met him. A deep bond of friendship and connectivity established between of us, and he used to feel free, so free with me, and plainly used to exchange his thoughts and views if I asked. And I addressed him from the very first time as Guru Maharaj only. And my mind never yielded even to think once about him as what he is. He is a total and perfect and complete acceptance of him as Guru Maharaj only. It is my personal experience and experience. He is Guru as fondly addressed. But he is my dearest brother, guardian angel of my life. In my life and experience I have two events of descendance of the grace. One is in the presence of and due to his presence. Appa's presence. And he willed it. The grace descended on Tuesday the 7th of March 1995 11:30 am. Second time. After the lapse of 28 years. The grace descended on the 7th of March Tuesday 2023 and the time was after 7 pm onwards to 9:40 pm. During the period of departure. Physical wailing of Guru Maharaj, Guru Prasad. From this world. There are quite a number more events which are personal in nature. Private and confidential. Which is not apt to put to pen. With the interactions of him, of Guru Prasad. I heard this great revelation from the Vedic seer, revered Raghavendra Rao Sahib. About transmission and grace on the 7th of March Tuesday 1995 at my house at 11:30 am. But I could not understand of its implications and impact. Almost 28 years completion. The understanding descended in the wee hours of the 8th of March 2023 morning after 1 hour 45 minutes of meditation session which was conducted to Chiranjeevi Raghavendra of Brisbane. The above revelation dictated to him and he typed it. The total time was allotted and given by Raghavendra is 4 hours 4:30 am to 8:30 am of Indian time. And it is in a continuous dictation, and I have no knowledge or even idea of what is being dictated. Only Chiranjeevi Raghavendra heard, typed, and going to send the typed version. My state is, I do not know what it was, what it is, what it will be, of my dictation. It is a purely spiritual principle of conveyance of spiritual knowledge, but if you look at it and try to compare it with nature's principles, it is just different. Like for every shower of rain, there is a pre-state. And you know the raining dew takes place. But in the spiritual science it is a conveyance, and the revelation was put to pen about this great subject matter after 28 years completion and the first day thereafter. That is the 8th of March 2023. Concluded at 8:50 am. If you view Guru Maharaj Guru Prasad through the lens of normal common faithful abhyasi of a practice of meditation, which portion of viewing and interacting normal and common abhyasis in the span of his entire life, till his last breath, no faithful abhyasi can have a clean passing thought about him, as he is not a faithful nor a abhyasi, nor he is a practitioner of meditation. Laid down practices of God realization, self-realization. Rather, every normal and common abhyasi felt and lived as naturally as he is one of them and part of the systems. Perhaps there may not be a single soul who could dare enough to inquire with him. He practices meditation, or method, or connected parameters of the practice and elements of the practice. Such was a natural living of him. Never any small ripple in the lake of living in the family. Part of the family, and also part of the practices, could rise by his actions, reactions or counteractions or living. He is a living witness, living with all the stalwarts of the Sahaj Marg across the globe and around the globe in Bethe. Part of its rise, whatever it is today, of Sahaj Marg and Shri Ramchandra Mission. Never ever he presented a single thought about anything connected to the Sahaj Marg practices. Shri Ramchandra Mission. Never ever he raised a finger about the serious debates and discussions which were occurring in the house from time to time in the presence of Appa and revered mother. But silently he is part of it, and he is keen observer and serious listener, and at the same time he used to interact with everybody gently in attending all the household chores assigned to him by the revered mother, Appa, and other members of the families without a single murmur. Right before his eyes he is a witness to all the crises which engulfed during the living presence and times of Shri Babuji Maharaj, as well as after Mahasamadhi of Shri Babuji Maharaj. The beauty of it is his faith is never dented. It is too big a word to call dent. It was never touched. His absolute faith in Appa as God himself, and the personality, was never touched, moved or wavered. The faith of him was such that, like a Himalayan mountain, unshakable, in Shri Babuji Maharaj, revered Appa and mother, as well as ideal goals set by Shri Babuji Maharaj, we can freely say that he is always on the highway of faith with full velocity. It is his natural, which is his nature. He further witnessed all the great fall of all the so-called great faithfuls on the spiritual path. And he witnessed all the rise also equally of then thereafter so-called spiritual elevation, bestowed as a grant upon the people who became later the so-called personalities on the spiritual path of Sahaj Marg. But still he remained as himself without any change, without any effect upon him by those elevations, rise and falls. But his interaction was seamless, rather natural to his natural self. That natural self was perfect spiritual, unfazed by anything, unaffected by anything, unchanged by anything, but he remained as himself and never interfered in anything. He tendered his opinion only when asked, and his behavior towards those people remained same. Those with whom he moved were the fallen, the pseudo so-called personalities. They could not or did not even get the puff of the air of their own changed status effect upon Him, Sthita Prajna, is the right word to him as laid in the Bhagavad Gita by Lord Shri Krishnaji. Maharaj. He is a witness of the following crises. The great demise and Mahasamadhi of Babuji Maharaj. During the April 19, 1983, he is a 20 years old youth. Quite matured. Fraudulent usurping by the vested interests people of the mission of the SRCM. Agonizing most painful events of the great spiritual deviations, of the ideals, of the set goals, of the practices laid by Sri Babuji Maharaj by the vested interests section. Hide yourself. Present the master. Instead, hide master. Present themselves. The practice was set. The breaking up of SRCM into small groups in India and all over the globe. Which information were well with him, but remained firm on the path and faith. And also his behavior was unchanged. Attempts of taking over Raichur ashram by the usurper forces. Is still unfazed. Handing over the Bangalore ashram on a platter which was single-handedly supported and built by the Raichur, and which center was the backbone of faith and trust, was simply slipped from the hands. It was truly heartfelt for revered Rao Sahib. And for quite some time the debate went on. How could it happen? Why was it handed over? He is a witness for both. But still remained unaffected. The fall of the great work at Gulbarg branch and center, and the most devoted and highly respected, cherished and brought up by Rao Sahib. Shattered by the vested interests people of Gulbarg. Leaving vertically a split. And diluting the very ideals of the great mission and the great master for a petty gains, causing untold misery to Rao Sahib. And this sentence should be read as the work of the great artist of the world fame when vandalized and disfigured. The same thing happened to the great craftsman and artist of spirituality. On the same lines of pain and agony people should understand. But whereas Brother Guru Prasad is concerned, though he has seen while he was growing difficulties and hardships with which Rao Sahib built the edifice of spirituality. Having great understanding too, about hardships of Rao Sahib in the entire family, who took the burnt pain in building that great edifice of spirituality. Still Brother Guru Prasad remained to his normal as usual self. It is not that he lacks the understanding. It is not that he knows not the implications. And when Gulbarg was declared as the branch by Sri Babuji Maharaj, as Sri Rao Sahib was living there, and Rao Sahib did clearly mention openly a number of times that he is in charge of the branch. And it was also clearly mentioned in the writings of Sri Babuji Maharaj, wherein Sri Babuji Maharaj mentioned by preparing Sri Rao Sahib in Sri Kesi Varadachari. The work of South India is over for him. And further he mentioned by completing the preparing of Rao Sahib. The work of India is over. And further Sri Babuji Maharaj assigned the work of the West to Rao Sahib during the very lifetime of Sri Babuji Maharaj and revered Rao Sahib. The above mentioned factors very clearly indicate the strength and power of the individual merits of Rao Sahib and in the eyes of Sri Babuji Maharaj. Even these factors were known to Brother Sri Guru Prasad. He remained composed under all circumstances and crises as a silent observer. As a silent witness. It should not be misread as a comparative statement of the each one's strength. The next crisis is the loss of the great mother, Mata Draupadi Bhai. Thereafter another great demise, Mahasamadhi of Sri Rao Sahib himself. Thereafter the period of almost 17 years with the loss of revered Rao Sahib. Mata Draupadi Bhai, 20 years. He passed through all these great crises and transitions. It was quite some time ago in one of my visits to Raichur, perhaps soon after the marriage of Sri Guru Maharaj, my dearest angel brother. A visit occurred to Raichur. And the day was at revered Appaji's home after the morning hours meditation and breakfast. Most revered mother was sitting, well bedecked. Northern side of the door revered Appa was sitting. And myself, Justice Vittal Rao, even perhaps Brother Ramchandra Reddy and some others were sitting in the entrance hall of the home. At that juncture my dearest angel brother Guru Maharaj walking down from the end of the kitchen side in his usual gait passing through the both revered mother and Appa. Suddenly and all of a sudden both of them addressed him. Allo Guru Naviddaga. Navirovaregu ninnanu nodkotivi. Navu hodmele hengappa madudu. Higiddare neenu. Quote. Without turning his back, while continue walking Guru Maharaj heard and all of us also hearing. And unperturbedly and undisturbedly he continued his walking of the entrance hall. Put a couple of steps ahead. And returned back. It was also sudden as he was about to go to attend something. Which only he knows it. And passingly he stood for a couple of seconds. By slowing his gait before the revered parents. And uttered a reply to the feelings of them as. Nividdaga nanna bag alokane matteri sinthe matteri. Sari. Adre nivu hodmele nanaj enagatte anta. Ij yak sinthe matteri. By raising his right hand he muttered, Ella agatte, and went inside the house towards kitchen. Both revered Amma and revered Appa with amusement became silent. With a bewitched smile, revered Appa addressed to Brother Ramchandra Reddy. See, Reddy sir, how he replies. And Brother Reddy also smilingly nodded his head. Perhaps I was sitting at the steps side. There was always a pre-stage which was a precedence of the order of any event to occur or to affect. The event to occur, the descendants of the grace. For the descendants to occur, there is a pre-stage. And that pre-stage is initiated by the great men of the order. To further say the great personality of the yogic order with the highest clairvoyant stage and state of highest yogic achievement at their command. It is he who initiates the action and the process for the grace to descend. A state has to be set before the stage of descendants of the grace. The stage set has to be read as inclusive of total preparation. That preparation part is cleansing, purging and purification to the point of absoluteness. The great personality undertakes it, taking the entire responsibility upon him. As you are all by now well aware that transmission is beyond time and space and the transmission is part and parcel of creative power source. And as Babuji Maharaj mentioned it, it is born along with the first stir. The scope, extent and limit of the transmission was further defined by revered Rao Sahib in the informal chat. And that info is available with a number of people too. Of those great times with him. It is again to reiterate here that if an individual receives a transmission 1000 times of the pure transmission from the capable persons who has the link with Source and Shri Babuji Maharaj. And about this, Shri Babuji Maharaj gave a caution in stating that transmission kiya nahi jata hai, ho jata hai. Transmission occurs. Transmission happens. Transmission cannot be initiated. Volumes can be written about the above mentioned statement. A few steps we can apparently know. One is the source of the transmission. The Babuji Maharaj. Absolute connection with the source and Babuji Maharaj. The grant of him and the source to transmit. The purpose of transmission is an implied thought as, transmission ho jata hai. Kiya nahi jata hai. A pre-state for the occurrence of the transmission. Preparedness to occur the transmission. Then transmission occurs from beyond time and space. It means it is before the creation. And it is further mentioned that is from heart to heart. As Sri Rao Sahib mentioned, there are 5 types of transmission occurrences. By sound, voice. By sight or vision, by eyes. By will, by heart, by touch. With a caution he further mentioned there are other types and situations which are not to be mentioned. Broadly, this reference comes in the bracket of transmission ho jata hai, with a caution, kiya nahi jata hai. Transmission means Shri Babuji Maharaj mentioned it as pranasya pranha, elan vital. It is prana to prana. It means to say prana is by the power of creation and creation's original power is prana only. And to that prana that transmission is prana. It means to say, it is beyond and above creative power. It is further to say beyond and above the creative power is space. And it is the power which is a power to the space, and it is in the Vedas, Upanishads and Shastras that space is the last expression of those sacred texts. What will be there when everything is gone? Will only be space. And to say so they have used negative aphorism. And that negative aphorism is Naeti, 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 Neti, Neti, Neti. And at the end of Neti, the negative aphorism, they come up to the space and thereafter they say it is that. And they do not know further of that. The source of that. And this transmission is that. To that source of that. Now we come back to the great subject of the grace and descendants. The grace is one and the descendants is another great subject. And the personality who has the connection to that grace. Who knows the grace? Probably with my little mind. It is my imperience to feel that he could manifest the grace. And that personality can be named as Adi Purusha, and further as per the Shastras and Vedas and Upanishads, he is named as Sanatana. This is the small opening given in the Shastras so as to support the mankind of their quest of knowing and search. The small cleavage they provided with these words. The vocabulary, Sanatana. The depth, height, impact implications of that word. The ancient spiritual history recorded and oral could find its traces around the globe from time to time, differently and variedly, and the result is different lights of illumination of the saints, yogis, munis, rishis, personalities of the globe from time immemorial. That is from the time of the earth known and beyond. And Shri Babuji Maharaj fixed the creation of human being as 1,25,000 years. And Shri Rao Sahib on the 17th of March 2006. He mentioned on his bed. I was sitting and he mentioned to me. And along with me others were also present. At Raichur in his house. It may not be possible for the mankind, for the human race, to understand the work of the Master, Shri Babuji Maharaj, even for 1,25,000 years. Ondu laska beko athawa ondu sawa laska varsa bakagbahudo ino. Adru sadyet ilar atananu atana karyavannu tiliyalu. It is my observation that Shri Babuji Maharaj went to the source and gave the numerical numbers of the creation. But it is Shri Rao Sahib as his parting gift to the mankind. Affirmed and asserted that the human race will continue another 1,25,000 years and beyond. If we look into all the Puranic literature and all the ancient texts and sankalpas of every saint of all the times, they did the same, in a limited sense, and no saint is there to give this numerical numbers. It was not there. To facilitate our understanding, our ancient saints did mention about the timings of creation and created a base for us for the numericals. By mentioning 4 yugas, Krita Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga forms one Mahayuga. One Mahayuga is of 4,320,000 years. 71 Mahayugas form a Manvantara. 1,000 Mahayugas form a Kalp. Perhaps it is to my understanding they have that some way and measure of understanding about the issuance of the energy for the continuation of the creation and to be specifically animated creation. And sustenance of the inanimate creation. Modern science ends up in saying, universe. But mankind ancient saints end up into saying, universes. and in one small mantra of Sri Ganesh Maharaj. This is found. Akhilanda Koti Brahmana Naika, Surya Koti Samaprabha. Akhilanda Koti Brahmana Naika, Surya Koti Samaprabha. In Sanskrit, whenever they have used the words Sahasra, Laksha, Koti, they used the numerical numbers to indicate one thing, that it is countless and ginat. Not to the numeric specific number, as they were well aware about the incapacity of measuring energy quantum, as like billions. The present scientific minds can understand my serious attempts of trying to indicate that energy cannot be measured, that too, of the creative powers, creative energy and ongoing of it. All the above mentioned things are encompassed and enveloped in one word called grace. Then the second subject matter comes, descendants. If we try to analyze the descendants of the grace, again volumes can be written and research can be voluminous about the descendants of the grace. And to define the member elements of the grace, descendants and of the personality, pre-state, current state, post-state, effects and affects, are countless in number, and cannot be penned, and it is left as Rao Sahib very clearly mentioned. Vadarbedwo, Bei Machu, Vadarbedwo, Bei Makyu. Silence is only the solution. That affect and affects are clearly mentioned as 1,000 transmissions, 10,000 individual practice sessions which are yielded transmissions. If a person can get it, even then, the purpose could not be achieved. And thereafter it becomes complete and fully purpose served is with the descendants of the grace. Countless births may be needed. And each birth is only to purse this understanding. Other than the surest means. Rajo Pada Dhulihi, Rajo Pada Dhuli. That any amount of oblations. That any amount of japas. That any amount of repetitions. That any amount of reading the scriptures. That any amount of penance. That any amount of anything and everything cannot equal. Rajo Pado Dhulihi, blank. Wisdom and spiritual wisdom. Shri Babuji Maharaj mentioned it, to understand a grain of spirituality you need 10 grains of wisdom. And the statement goes with an implied reading of spiritual wisdom. Any amount of mundane world wisdom does not have enough strength to understand directly the subject matter of spirituality and forget about spiritual wisdom itself. Mundane world, material world does not possess any ingredients which can facilitate basic understanding of spiritualism or spirituality. Material world means acquisition and gain. Spirituality means giving away and losing away the self. They are opposites, but opposite poles attract. Sri Rao Sahib has said, when I inquired how to develop knowledge about material world, what books I have to read, he said, for the material world knowledge and wisdom, read Panchtantra books. Then about spiritual knowledge I asked him. He said, Shri Babuji Maharaj books. The books of wisdom of spirituality are Shri Babuji Maharaj's writings. Each book can be named as one form of wisdom, spiritual knowledge. About Raja Yoga, the wisdom book is Raja Yoga in the light of Sahaj Marg. About wisdom of philosophy is the book of Sahaj Marg Philosophy. About spiritual science the book, The Journey Towards Infinity. Encompassing the manifestation of spiritualism in spirituality is the book of Commentary on 10 Commandments. Matured spiritual wisdom, rare and only time of the mankind which encompassed and enveloped all the pristine pure pearls of wisdom for the mankind to sustain and remain is the dawn of the light of wisdom. The letters are pristine pure pearls to guide the mankind to the eternity is the reality at dawn. The wisdom of all his wisdom of Shri Babuji Maharaj is in one word, which one word was given during one yuga, named Dwapara Yuga, by Lord Shri Krishnji Maharaj. That too at the 0 hour of Mahabharat war, and that one word of a great nectar of wisdom in greatest revelation of the mankind for the mankind by the Lord. In the revelation of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is Sthita Prajna. That is for living and to live the life grant us so. But Sri Babuji Maharaj phrased another highest form of living with the greatest heights to cover both living in the mundane world as well as spiritual realm and spiritual life. And that word is living dead, and the final state of innocent child. Sri Babuji Maharaj in all his books, the stages and states of spiritual height to express them as wisdom. Spiritual wisdom, matured form of knowledge which is total and complete and full is called wisdom, including the journey of the spiritual state of that stage. For example, Pindesh, Panchagni Vidya, Brahmana, Parabrahmanda, Daruva, Dhruvadipati, Parshad, Mahaparshad. The wisdom is part of them first, and the state is of them. The wisdom, and the stage is living with that wisdom, and an extent of the reach to be lived with the wisdom. Spiritual elevation and height should go with parallel of wisdom in the life while living, and should get expressed in the living. All the above states of spiritual states and elevation in essence form Sri Krishnji Maharaj said. So as Sthita Prajna, Sri Babuji Maharaj marked as living dead, and the final state he bloomed it as innocent child. But still living. Life to continue living in any avasthas, balyavastha, yavanastha, praudhavastha, in any ashram, grahasthashram, vanaprasthashram, sannyasashram, and of any age. In Kannada literature there are two literary giants and Jananapita awardees. One is Mr. Kuppali Venkatappa alias Kuvempu and another is Rajaratnam alias Puttappa. They quote the following as an ordinance to follow about Mahatmas, Mahapurushas. Mahatmaru madidanu madutidanu nodi kaliyabeke vinaha prasnisa baradu. Avaru heladanu ku. Ka. Tappade madabeke vinaha avaru madidanu madutiruudanu anukarislu prayatna sahita madabaradu. Yak madtaro yak riti jivana nadesutaro avarige matra tilidiruttade. Avara sannidhanakke pravesa nididha matrakke sannidhana padedukondiruvanta nange yavud hakugalu sannidhana. Pravesa nididilla. Entry only permitted. Rights reserved. Translation. We should learn from Mahatma's deeds and acts, and should not be questioned them. We have to follow their instructions to the spirit and letter. Their actions shall not be copied. What for they do, what for they live the way they live, only they know. A grant to their sannidhana, to be in their presence, does not grant the rights for anything else. Entry only permitted. Rights reserved. Here I quote a recorded event from the life of great Saint Sri Mahatma Gorakhnath from the north west of U.P. A charlatan, pseudo-disciple imitates Sri Mahatma Gorakhnathji's behavior and his use of language, and goes scot-free into the society and turns and enjoys on demand to satiate all his desires, including his appetite for taste of meat, liquor etc. And his utterances issued forth at all times with the tagline of, "You will be cursed if you don't follow and satisfy my wish." It had become so bothersome and troublesome for the general public, and it became unbearable of that charlatan, pseudo-disciples' relentless attacks on the fine fabric of modesty of the society. One of the most grieved and suffered victim not able to bear any more. Who is a pious, righteous, virtuous with a thought of rightful indignation nature went to the feet of Mahatma Gorakhnathji, and humbly placed his submission of narration of misery caused by that charlatan pseudo-disciple, and his inability anymore to see and bear those most cruel and inhuman activities. Mahatma Gorakhnathji patiently heard him. Compassion oozed out of him, which was and which is his natural self, and he said, "If he can do what and all I can do, then he is like me. The same. Let him perform in the public view tomorrow." Shri Mahatma has a reputation to go on his free will and choice in the streets of Gorakhpur. In the morning hours before noon he happened to visit a blacksmith where blacksmith was busy in preparing the molten metal, burning the iron billets into molten metal. Mahatma Gorakhnathji approached him with a pleading as thirsty, and he wanted to quench his thirst. That innocent blacksmith was thrilled with this plea that hey, great Mahatma wants to quench his thirst, that too from his humble hotment of the lowest order. As per the norm of that time, Mahatmas never went to such people and never partook anything from them. Copious tears were flowing out from the eyes of the blacksmith for this great graceful honor and blessing of Mahatma, and attempted to offer him the finest beverages to quench his thirst. With a bewitching smile, Shri Mahatma Gorakhnathji said, "They cannot quench my thirst, I will drink myself." And he puts his hand in the molten burning lava and drinks not mouthful but to the full of his belly, to the brim of his throat, the molten lava. And he wipes his mouth with the attached lava and throws it back into the molten lava. The people of the hotment of the blacksmith were shell-shocked and stunned and became like statues. Gently and gracefully Shri Mahatma Gorakhnathji walked out of that hotment, and the gathering around that hotment of the general public were also spellbound. Like silence of death prevailed on the onlookers, and Shri Mahatma Gorakhnathji picked the grief-devoted disciple from the mob and told him to ask that charlatan and pseudo-Mahatma to do the same thing to quench his thirst and hunger. Smilingly with a joy, Shri Mahatma Gorakhnathji walked away. The mob of people came back to life, exploded with joy and cheer seeing the great marvel of Mahatma. Spiritedly and with enthusiasm the mob picked up the charlatan and pseudo-disciple as it was already his lunch time of choice. And they told him, "Your and our Guru Maharaj Shri Mahatma Gorakhnathji today quenched his thirst and hunger with molten lava with bare hands. And he ordained you to quench your thirst and hunger with the same dish." By the time the blacksmith also came back to life and senses, picked the hint and flared up the flames and to the highest point, and the molten iron lava was brewing and boiling with bubbles of molten metal. The heat was so formidable to reach near that. Where is the question of putting the hands inside? The charlatan pseudo-disciple almost got fainted, and without any control all natural secretions from him were flowing out. And the mob en masse wanted to throw him inside. He cried so pitifully, begged of everybody, falling at the feet of everybody of the mob en masse and said, "You are all innocent and gullible people as I found, and with a skill I satiated my wishes and brought great damage to Shri Mahatma Gorakhnathji, and I brought untold misery for all of you." The above one is an elaborative narration of an event, but it appears to me that it is apt and proper here to quote with my detailed expansion of the event as it was reconstructed on a reverse engineering principle. Recorded history is full of such events, and furthermore full is also oral history. People can know if they are interested. The sum and substance and the moral of the quotes and events is to learn from Mahatma's living in teaching, to transform and to present the master, and to hide yourself are the great truths of living to be presented like Sthita Prajna. Living dead, innocent child. If you see the life and living of Guru Maharaj Guru Prasad, my dearest angel brother, you can get ample proofs and foolproof evidences of the above great quotes of Shri Babuji Maharaj. Blank. Revered Rao Sahab, Revered Madhavachar Dasachar M.D. Jagirdhar. Myself along with Justice Vittal Rao were invited by Brother Dr. Shyam Sundar and Premakar to their house. Soon after the times of Mahasamadhi of Shri Babuji Maharaj in the evening in the Nimhans quarters, Bangalore. The times were very grim and chaotic because of the loss of physical presence of Shri Babuji Maharaj. how the spiritual realm is going to exist and get managed due to the loss of physical presence of Shri Babuji Maharaj, which created a huge void in the hearts of all the faithfuls, as well as for the universes, as he is the Mahaparshad, and functions in role of Mahaparshad. You can refer it to Reality at Dawn book. At any given time, only one Mahaparshad will be present. If we spare a little time here to refresh our memories of the communications, letters written by Shri Babuji Maharaj to revered Raghavendra Rao Sahib from time to time of his spiritual elevation. And one letter specific I wish to mention is the letter of the 24th of February 1969. First of all, I congratulate you for the fact that your Laya Avastha in Brahma, absorbency in Brahma, has commenced on the 11th of February 69 at 8:25 am. All this is due to the grace of revered Lalaji Sahab. Otherwise a saint of such caliber is found once in hundreds of years. Shri Babuji Maharaj further stated, henceforth you are not in need of God, nor me, Master, and also you are free to keep me with you or not. And it depends upon you. The Brahman means for us is Shri Babuji Maharaj and Shri Rao Sahib merged in the Brahman, and in certain letters thereafter Shri Babuji Maharaj mentioned that what and all he can do, Shri Rao Sahib can do it. And whomsoever what and all he gave, he can call back and take away. But not of Rao Sahib. In the informal chat at Nimhan's quarters, Bangalore, perhaps Dr. Shyam Sundar posed a query. How this spiritual realm and dependent faithful sustain this? Quote, to revered Rao Sahib. Instantly Rao Sahib mentioned this. All the hearts of the Abhyasi brothers and faithfuls would have got burst off. If only the children of Shri Babuji Maharaj, without their knowledge, they are continuously working in protecting all the hearts of Abhyasis and faithfuls, thereby giving relief to the spiritual realm too. The greatest spiritual work they are doing in mankind is saved. Shri Babuji Maharaj's progenies are revered Prakash Chandra Saxena, revered Dinesh Chandra Saxena, revered Umesh Chandra Saxena, and revered Sarvesh Chandra Saxena, and revered Mata Chaya and revered Mata Maya. Shri revered Dinesh Chandra Saxena's life continuity abruptly came to an end in his youthful times, which caused greatest pain and misery to Shri Babuji Maharaj about that abrupt end. Though very well known to Shri Babuji Maharaj, and he mentioned in his letters that, if only he would have survived, it would have been great help to the mission and to me also. Very capable and able soul in person. He is a very great soul who was fully convinced to himself that I am the God. None other than God only. Shri Babuji Maharaj has mentioned to one of the Abhyasis Channapspa of Gulbarg that brother Sarvesh Chandra Saxena was born when Shri Babuji Maharaj was in central region. Shri M. D. Jagirdhar mentioned that all the progenies of Shri Babuji Maharaj have to just to turn to him. The ultimate. That's all. They all simply be one with the ultimate. I have won my personal interaction way back in the year 1996 when revered Prakash Chandra Saxena and Mata Matreyi and their son, Babuji Maharaj's grandson, Sanjay Saxena, visited my home. After spending a couple of hours thereafter, we all went back to Justice Vittal Rao's place in our Tata Sumo car. After reaching there, and courtesies were exchanged at Mr. Vittal Rao's house, Mataji requested Justice Vittal Rao to initiate Sanjay Saxena. It was a sudden, and Shri Vittal Rao startled for a while and asked me to arrange his office room to conduct meditation. And I organized it. Then Justice Vittal Rao conducted a meditation session for about 45 to 55 minutes. And it was concluded thereafter. Dinner was served. Meanwhile myself and Justice Vittal Rao were together. He could not contain the great revelation of the spiritual state of the grandson of Sri Babuji Maharaj, which he wanted to tell me. Then he continued in Kannada. Alapa, Kannu muchide aste, Avanu a hudugana ked tirugide, Anu illappa, Ondondu padaru bikakondu hogtade tana, ge, Enappa adu, Enter makkalappa, Bari belaku belaku. It was not the usual self of Justice Vittal Rao to discuss about any spiritual state about anybody, which is a fact known to all. But such a person could not contain himself by seeing the state prevailing in Chiranjeevi Sanjay Saxena as a natural self. Thereafter of Mahasamadhi of 14 years. Mahasamadhi occurred on the 19th of April 1983. Mother Matreyi was so happy and full of joy and she mentioned, Bhai Sahab, हमको किसी से भी इनित्ते करवाने का दिल नहीं था. आपसे करवाया. बहुत खुश हो गए हम. In our ancient scriptures also this is put into practice and the practice is visible and even till today it has been in use of Lord Shri Krishnji Maharaj. Yuga Purusha, personality. In all the mantras they assign to him, Shri Krishnarpanmastu, and they seek pardon from him only. At the very end of the worship for all the Lopa doshas, by reciting Achyuta, Ananta, Govinda, and they also take up the lineage Krishna, Pradyumna, Anirudh, which is the proof that the spiritual effulgence, spirituality when got revealed and presented with this world with a personality. It will be continued, and it remains, and the world thereafter will follow. I am leaving to the reader the freedom to think further. At Hyderabad during Ravi's marriage in 1990s, Upanayanam, that is sacred thread Yajnopavita ceremony, was performed for Chi. Vijay Kumar, third and youngest son of revered Rao Sahib. He called Vijay Kumar and asked, Ino Vijaya, Sikha bidiskotiyo no, Sastrabadhavagi ela madskotieno. Chi. Vijay Kumar answered, Hu appa, madskotini madtini. After hearing that he mentioned to me that, Hindina Janmadali Ivanu Aka Anida, Aka Ivanu. During the ceremony a stage comes where the Vachu has to seek alms with Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi. And Chiranjeevi Vijay Kumar strictly followed. Rao Sahab called him and he asked me to give alms with proper request. Seeking alms got completed by Chiranjeevi Vijay Kumar. It was kind of a shock to me that a person like me, such a respect was accorded by him, by Rao Sahib. Thereafter lapse of 5 to 7 years, another event occurred at Dharwar Ashram. And on that day, revered Rao Sahib presented with the symptoms of serious sickness and was laying in the room on a bed. And a doctor, a Abhyasi, a lady doctor was called for. Her father was also there. She came and examined him the pulse, BP and chest and started after the examination prescribing some medicine on a scribble pad. Suddenly the bindi, sindoor, she was wearing fell down. And I was along the side of Rao Sahib. And I could feel the emptiness of the forehead of the married woman. This came to the immediate notice of him, Rao Sahib. And Vijay Kumar was present there, and addressed him, A Vijaya, Hogi Sindhura Tagomba, for the doctor, and the father of the doctor. It was just the Sindhur fallen simply. No any significance. It was not so for Rao Sahib. And to me too. It was a blank forehead devoid of Sindhur, which is a sign as per Hindu custom of Sumangali, the married woman with sacred oaths. That female Abhyasi doctor was young, just married. She, Vijay Kumar went rushing out and brought in revered Rao Sahib. A Vijaya, Ninna Kailinda Akege Sindhura Kodu, Sumangali Agali, and the beauteous Chi. Vijay Kumar placed that Sindhur in his joint fold of palms as if offering to deity of Kumkuma or Sindhur Kunkumankite, sacred chant for Lakshmi. With that kind of a reverence and respect he extended his hands, both offering. The lady Dr. Abhyasi, so unaware, blissfully she took it and applied to her forehead. The second she applied to her head, the glow came back to her whole head portion, is my observation. Thereafter we came to know that her husband was passing through a kind of a critical health state and crisis. Then the room was emptied. Myself and Rao Sahib was left. Then revered Rao Sahib told me, Ivala akaru madbeku. Avanu aka adana. Adakke avana keli madasde. We can observe here the deep respect he has for ancient wisdom and signposts of the ancient wisdom, which are in the form of traditions, customs and respects for the institution of religion, institution of marriage, and for the institution of relationships. Once Sri Babuji Maharaj was counted with a query, what is Sahaj Marg? Quote, his bold reply was, Sahaj Marg is a pure Hindu thought. Quite some time ago I happened to conduct meditation session to Raghunandan Deshpande, son of Jagannath Rao Deshpande, and I used to conduct meditation sessions to him whenever I used to visit Gulbarg. I did not mention what is his state to him, but I revealed it to Jagannath Rao Deshpande, who was always having a qualm that Raghu is not following the meditation path nor practicing cleaning, meditation or the prayers. Most of the time he will be busy in his own world. It was before Raghunandan Deshpande got PhD, and it continued thereafter too. Of my meditation sessions to him, once in a while, I revealed to him my meditation sessions used to minimum 1 hour. During the whole 1 hour period not a single thought of wavering other than simple absorption of remaining connected with the pure divine, which is his natural self. When I revealed this to Jagannath Rao Deshpande, it was quite a bit of a surprise. And I told him, Saheba, you need not worry about him. He is firmly fixed on the path of spirituality. It also so happened to Madan Mohan Putta. Whenever he used to come to me, or whenever I used to go to his house, I used to conduct meditation. He used to participate without questioning. His state is also of an ignorance, not knowing anything about method of practice or anything. Simply he accepts, and it used to become easy for me to orient him, and the change he used to feel. Later I informed Jagannath Rao Deshpande about his state too. It was quite a surprise for him as he knows their lives well. Here we can infer that lineage do has its own merits, and the spirituality continues on the lineage. No matter it is that people of the lineage, whether they learn, practice and put upon practice, or be connected with all the literature, but still their spiritual light is in its full glow as they have not deviated, violated, adopted wrong paths and contra to the spiritual living in their own simple way. Here Rao Sahib used to say, attitude building is core essential and Sahaj Marg evolves that attitude towards spirituality. I am also a witness as most of the people to the fall of the so-called great men trained by Shri Babuji Maharaj himself, like a dried leaf fallen on the earth, and wayward behaviors, unspiritual behaviors, inhuman behaviors are fully present in the so-called great men's fall. Here I recollect my query counted with Rao Sahib about. The query is as follows. What does your master's transmission do to me? Quote, answer. With the help of my master's transmission, if you want to become the north-rate scoundrel of a world order, you can become. If you want to become the greatest saint of the world order, you can become. I put forth another submission. Do you mean to say that I have the freedom to become what I wanted to? With the help of transmission. Quote, yes, you can become. The reply. My subsequent submission was, then I will become the greatest saint of the world order. For that conferment taken place. From him. Yes, you can become. I reaffirmed. I do. Apparently it appears that the fall of the so-called great elevated souls, it is not so. It is, they want to live that way, as a fallen lives. That was the charm to which they were attracted. And they became and they presented. When was it that an abhyasi will not fall after reaching the spiritual height? Quote, Rao Sahib said, after 2.5 circles crossing the central regions, and 2.5 points thereafter a point comes. When he crosses that, there is a possibility of no fall. Further states about that where an abhyasi will be firmly rooted and remained fana, baka, in an informal discussion at a private place. At Ishappa's residence. At Nijalingappa colony. At Raichur. In the selected group of people. When somebody mentioned about the family of Rao Sahib's state, Rao Sahib categorically with one voice said, all my children are noble. And they are all good people. One particular word he used in Kannada. In a negative way. Nanna makalu yaru kettiya. It is the individual's choice of an individual to become and present himself as so. Not otherwise. If only the individual connection is firm and robust with the Master or with Raghavendra Rao Sahib. All these rise, elevations, heights, expansion are words of spirituality and in relation to spirituality. Spirituality is the subject of systematic study of spirit. And the spirit is born out of the soul. Sometimes the terminology of the spiritual science. They say that the spirit itself is the soul. But it is different as Rao Sahib observed. As a human birth and as a human to be named. Human is not only flesh and bones. But also spirit. As Lord Christ said. In Hindu philosophy about the spiritual science. About the human. Those who accept the existence of soul. And they are having the soul. Are only called as humans. Let us find something about the soul about which Shastras are also filled with. Philosophies written with. And debates have been continued. In the traditional theology it is mentioned as Atma, Mahatma, Devatma and Paramatma. Atma is an individual spark of The. And part of the Paramatma. And Atma evolves to the point of Mahatma and further evolves to Devatma. When the Atma evolved from Atma to Mahatma, it is indicative that it is very big, Maha. Which can encompass countless Atmas. One Atma having one human body, like we use the word called Mahatma Gandhi. We use the Mahatma title to Mahatma Ramchandraji Maharaj. Mahatma Lalaji Maharaj. And certain people are named as Devamas, Devansh Sambhutas. Who had descended on the earth as Atma but possessed all the godly powers and godly attributes. And they take birth to effect a change in the society. And such souls are recorded by the history in the book of history. You can verify in many fields of sciences. Philosophy, literature, political, army, industrialists, engineers. The line stops at Paramatma and thereafter there is a continuation. God, Almighty, Brahman, ultimate. The very essence of humanness is nothing but godliness. Ruhaniyat ki nichod hai insaniyat. In the traditional texts of every kind of faiths and order, the Atmic power is presented in the form of symbols. And one of that symbol is Virat Swarup. Purusha Sukta says, Sahasra Shirsh Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapad. Sabhumin Vishwato Vritva Atyatish Tad Dashangulam. Greek have their own way of depicting Atmic power in the form of godly forms, Atmic power of wind, water, war, peace, love. Romans too have their own. Jews have a tower of lamp. Whereas the power is there. And it is so in Zoroastrianism, Christianity or Islam to depict the Atmic power. In a conclusive way we can say that it is about the power and strength which is there in a human body. A concentrated portion is called Atman. And that becomes the source of power to the whole body. organs and functions. The departure of the soul from the body is declared by the stopping of the heartbeat, not of the brain dead. At that time of departure, the human body is all the parts, all the organs, and all the limbs, but no life, the life which has been given by the Atman. Shri Babuji Maharaj has named that as a spiritual height, the Atmic power in the form of region of heart, in the form of region of mind, in the form of central region and the center, and with the final state. It is the evolutionary path of the Atman only, wherein at one point it is with the human body and soul. It can reach up to the end of the Parabrahmanda Mandal or mind region only. And with the body it is not possible to enter the central region. That is what the finding of Bhagavan Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And he mentioned, I attempted to cross and enter the next state, and the force was such that every particle would have got burst out. Then I came the conclusion that it is the limit of the human reach. And with the human body it is not possible beyond this point. And to enter into the next state. Sri Lalaji Maharaj Revolution is then invented a method of highest yogic reach with which he made it possible to enter the central region with the body while living. The exalted truth and proof is Sri Babuji Maharaj himself. Thereafter of Sri Lalaji Maharaj, Sri Babuji Maharaj, life and living and his writings and his trainings are with a standing ovation of the possibility of the human achievement with the help of yogic sciences. The ascendance of Sri Raghavendra Rao Sahib is the proof to be noted with gold. All his ascendants to be engraved on the golden plate and with jewels of an unparalleled on pay. Path of spirituality. It is the power which the soul has, and how the power has transformed itself and presented as a format to the world. And the body is a robe for that. And the robe is manifested by the personalities and present that robe of body with the soul as children as progeny. All the fragrance, aroma and scent of the yoga you can find in them. That is about the state. Stitha Prajnatha, living dead, as innocent child. Final state, down the lane as Karmasu Kaushalam Yogam, Chitta Vritti Nirodha Yogam. These characters and properties are visible with the appropriate intelligence in those progenies. I had a great shock when Brother Jagannath Rao Deshpande left this mortal world. And I was slowly absorbing it. And when this declaration of death was communicated to me of my dearest brother Angel Guru Maharaj, Guru Prasad, there is no cell or atom left unaffected in me. And the greatest punishment that I never ever forget was that I received yesterday while partaking the last meal in the remembrance of him. Today in the wee hours of 2:30 am and thereafter. Most darkest form of fresh energies in the form of knots. Like twine knots. It is a concentrated physical quantum of energy. They started descending from above. It was a surprise to me. Suddenly my dearest brother Angel Guru Prasad Guru Maharaj, who is not ready to come out of his state, oriented me to see that, to look into it, the cloths of dark fresh energy. Cloths are shining, hence it is fresh energy. I do not know why they were oriented to this earth, to this place, to me, where from they came. I have no idea. I know only this much. Dark energy means very very powerful, which is the backbone of the formation of the creation. I will quote one small example here. The clot of energy I am mentioning, with Brother Jagannath Deshpande, about the fact of sun power diminishing, and he mentioned to Sri Babuji Maharaj that the scientists are worried about it. It is not so big deal to revive the sun. And there is a small point in the heart if touched with the will. It will revive. So when I am mentioning it as a clot, you can imagine the intensity of the word called clot of dark energy. If only my dearest angel brother Guru Maharaj Guru Prasad would have been with the body physically present. Certainly he would have handled it. Such a great soul. We all lived with and we lost a great burden to live further without him for me. Though spiritually with me. Suresh Kumar Makam. Yoga Acharya. Suresh Kumar Makam at gmail.com. Mobile 9448277075. 7892193475. https sites.google.com/sites/liavestham https www.youtube.com/@liavestham